Today, the Trust salutes the Detroit News Herald. No, not that Detroit, our Detroit in Red River County. They say if it bleeds, it leads. And if you've done any poking around in newspaper archives, you know that's true. The Detroit Herald in the 1920s kind of broke from that. In sparsely populated Detroit, bleeding, literal or otherwise, was not a requirement. Bruises and sprains were front page news in the weekly paper. Stuff that you or I might text family and friends about was deemed newsworthy. Imagine if you slammed your finger in a door when you were in the second grade and the next day it was on the front page of the local paper. As someone who is quite accident prone myself, I don't think I could have stayed out of the headlines. I'd have been an endless source of news. So let's take a gander at some of these front page news stories. Stepped on a nail? Newsworthy. Burned your hand while cooking? Headline news. Cut your arm while whittling? Stop the presses. Broke your leg? So did all of these poor souls. Cut your finger? Story at 11. Got a fat lip? Some ink's gonna be spilled. Mashed your finger or mashed your toe? Breaking news. Burned your face in a fruit explosion? Okay, maybe that one is worthy of the front page. Pricked your finger with a quilting needle? Reporters are on the scene. Sprain your ankle? Developing story. Stay tuned. These peculiar content choices were those of Benjamin Claud Councill, a veteran newspaperman who spent his career at small-town Texas weeklies. He ran papers in Blossom, Anona, Blum, Sherman, New Boston, Alvord, DePort, and Moody, but always returned to his roots in Detroit. He set all the type by hand from 1900 until the day he retired in 1957. His odd penchant for reporting on everyone's health paid big dividends with his biggest scoop, the death of John Nance Garner's mama in 1932. Cactus Jack, of course, was a native of Red River County, and he was out campaigning for the vice presidency when he was called to his mother's bedside. The Detroit News closely monitored Mrs. Nance, and when she passed, Claud Councill wired the news to the nation's newspapers. Otherwise, Detroit was peaceful. Too danged peaceful, admitted Mr. Councill in a 1954 interview. And so, the Trust salutes you, Detroit News Herald, for doing what you had to do to sell newspapers in a rural area and for probably making folks a little less careless than they would have otherwise been to avoid landing on your front page.